Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Crypto Insider channel. We're recording today from the Crypto Insider compound in Austin, Texas. It is a little bit of a chill day here. We got up about 47 degrees outside, but windy. I know a lot of our listeners in the UK and everyone else are like, really, 47 degrees? You're complaining about the wind? Hey, I'm used to it now. You know, I moved down here from the north, so I feel you with the cold temperatures. Anyways, I hope you're nice and cozy wherever you are, and enjoying your cup of coffee or tea or whatever it is you're drinking at this time in the morning. Hey, no judgments here. We're not here to examine those sorts of behavior, but even the Crypto Insider mascot, Ziggy, the Black Labrador, did not want to get out of bed today. But in fairness, he never wants to get out of bed unless he hears something hit the food dish, and his ears never miss it when it happens. We don't sell things at the Crypto Insider channel. That's not technically true. We are a Ledger affiliate if you're interested in buying a Ledger. I decided to become an affiliate a week or two back just because I thought, you know what, it pertains to the subject at hand, but you're not going to find placemats or coffee mugs or t-shirts and paywalls and Patreons. Yeah, we're not doing that. So we welcome you to the channel with open arms. In fact, what you're seeing on the screen before you is our donations. For each new YouTube subscriber, we make a donation to the Good Souls group. They break that donation down, send it off to 9 charities, great charities, all of them. And, we have a lot of fun with them on the Twitter. They send us pictures of what they're doing. So if you don't follow me on Twitter, you may want to. I'm at C Insider. I believe the handle's in the in the video description link. So there's that. Speaking of fun on Twitter, I replied to Tone Vase, and the XRP community kind of picked it up. But Tone Vase did that tweet where, he's back at it, calling XRP a scam token. We jumped in the fray, and well, let's just go over here and take a look at it. I replied because logic is not working with these people. So I replied, "You're absolutely correct. The population 10 to 50 years from now will want to wait to settle transactions at +1 hours and 6 to 10 validations. It'll be seen as quaint. They will have settlement parties where they serve hors d'oeuvres and everyone sings sea shanties while they wait." And obviously, you can't drip with sarcasm more than that. And we got a lot of love on Twitter for that comment. And, some of the responses. So here's somebody referencing Lightning because it's always about the on-chain transaction speeds. Am I right? And then someone else goes on to talk about... Someone else went on to talk about Lightning. They may have deleted their tweet. I'm not seeing it here. But if you know anything or have been following Bitcoin at all, they did a segregated witness thing. So if you're sending Bitcoin, you'll see SegWit, which is ridiculously bad. Both of these layers of technology, SegWit and Lightning, defeat the whole purpose of having a blockchain in the first place. They're ungodly expensive. It's their attempt to put a supercharger on their Model T Ford, but all you have to do is Google the problems with Lightning or SegWit. There was one Lightning validator. He had to lock up 5 million Bitcoin. $5 million worth of Bitcoin in order to make $20 a month from being a Lightning validator. And he ended up shutting a bunch of nodes down that he ran. So, you can try to polish the turd if you want, but I don't think it's going to work in the long run. And even if you implement Lightning on the best day, on its best day, it's only going to increase efficiency by 60%, which sounds good, but still puts you way up there. And to do so, you have to defeat the whole purpose. You have to sidestep Satoshi's whole vision. And you're trying to make the technology into something it's not, and it's still clunky. And if the volume increases 60%, then you're back where you were when you started, and all of it was for naught, and now you don't have the functionality that even Bitcoin has. SegWit basically negated. Bitcoin did have a way to do smart contracts badly, but SegWit basically took the whole reason, or that whole functionality, and killed it, basically. Because it's like this: if somebody defrauds you with a check, they figure out your account number and routing number, and let's say they print off their own check and cash it somewhere, and you go to the bank and you say, "Oh, I'd like a copy of this check because it's fraudulent. We want to take it to the police and file a report." And they come back to you and say, "Oh, here's your check," and you're looking at it, and now there's no endorsement, or there's no signature there at the bottom. And they say, "Well, we can't give that to you because we stripped it out and it no longer exists. We just dumped that information." So yeah, obviously you can't do smart contracts that are really valuable contracts in an environment like that. So I don't know. You can't argue logically with Tone Vase or a lot of these Bitcoin maxis. They just want to, they probably made money on Bitcoin before. I have too. They're not the only ones. But they seem to want to stand by the tech regardless, and that's fine. And even if you this is why I like XRP. One of the reasons why I like XRP certainly is the transaction speed is so fast. You're talking 3 to 5 seconds. And Ripple, the advocates of this token, are able to get their foot in the door at these large, extremely large financial institutions. So even if somebody comes along, some other coin on the list comes along and says, we can do the same thing that XRP does, we can do it in 1 to 2 seconds, and there's no fees at all. We just do it for free. Yes, banks are competitive, but that is not enough to drive adoption of that, even if it is better than XRP, whoever this theoretical competitor is, because you get diminishing returns. So for 1 to 2 seconds, which is pretty much ignorable for most humans, we can wait 1 to 2 seconds for something. We're not that bad yet. You have to change out your entire infrastructure, retraining on solutions. They have to establish new corridors, and you have to go to a coin that's a competitor that doesn't have the name recognition that Ripple and XRP do. I'm not convinced that even a competitor with a better coin, if they come out, is necessarily going to be able to dethrone Ripple that easily, because, like I said, it's a diminishing rate of return. So you gain 1 to 2 seconds and a little bit less fees, but you have to go through the pains of heaven on a coin that may not be as trustworthy or as well regarded. Banks are going to shy away from that if you can even get in the door. I was talking about a man named Frank Sanchez, who, if you want to research Sanchez data systems, started very small and basically had a knack for getting into the door at these big banks and selling his solution, which was really good at the time. And I think the name of the company went from eProfile to Sanchez Data System. I don't know, but he was good at that, and he's still good at that. Like his Rolodex alone, if he auctioned it to a group of bankers, like his list of contacts would probably go for several $1,000,000 just for the potential of it. And that's important. That's very important when you're trying to sell these solutions. So let's look at price, and instead of me bloviating on and on about things that happen in the traditional fintech space in 2006, but you know how it goes. I tend to digress at times. So we have XRP, 21.5 cents. We had a bump from yesterday at 4%, and price right now is up 2.89% on the hour. We're just at about 0.216. I'm saying our resistance that we want to test is going to be in the 0.22-ish area, maybe 0.223 or 0.225. With the de-escalation of the Trump-Iran situation, it's an interesting place to be because you want to see where the coin goes. And we would rather make 2.78% or 3.82%, whatever it is, we would rather make that in a day than 12% if it means we have to drop bombs to do it. So we're happy to see that we're actually up a little bit for the past day or so without there being a full-blown conflict. But just because there was some de-escalation by the Trump administration and Iran does not mean that it will not come roaring back if Iran or the Trump administration makes a bold move. I was probably just reading something on AMB crypto. I really don't have anything I want to talk about there. Oh, here's a chart I came across earlier on Twitter. It looks that what they're showing here is that we tested a resistance point at 0.19%. We had our candle. This is probably a lot of the Iran stuff. And then after it de-escalated, we went back down, and this became a support level. And now we're on the upswing again. They're saying 0.22645 is the level we have to retrace, and if we do, the new support becomes 0.23 cents. What was I saying before? 0.225? Yeah, I'm pretty close. I was pretty close before. They've got a little bit higher than I do. But if you look at this area here on the left, if we break both these support levels, then we're back in December levels. And I like to be solidly past a resistance before I start saying we're in a trend reversal. I would rather be way up here to the 0.27%. Technically, you can say we're in a trend reversal, if we retest this stuff and we continue the momentum. I like to be assured before I make that statement, especially in cryptocurrency. But again, it's technical analysis. It's a possibility. It's not a probability. We can, in my opinion, in the next bull cycle, whenever that is, if we're rounding the bottom now or whatever, we have a little rounding going on here. It looks like. So it looks like we're in a really good place. But I think in the next bull run, we can definitely breach the all-time high. And I've talked about that in other videos, why we could go past that magic $3.84 that Coinbase lists. That's the target to have our eyes on. But honestly, I don't even think it's going to be a psychological barrier. I think if we start to see those few dollar limits, that we're just going to shoot past it at that point, because the fear and greed cycles are going to kick in, and drive the market at that point. So I want to talk about some alts because I always get comments on what alts have you invested in. So I'm happy to talk about that. One of them is Chainlink. Chainlink is not necessarily a serious competitor to Ripple or XRP, but wow, if you looked at their position on the list on CoinMarketCap over the year, they went from something like 152 or something, and now they're 16. They are just killing it. Up 27% in the last week, 6% in the last day. I do have some Chainlink, not a lot. I first got Chainlink when I did those, you can do those dumb courses on Coinbase and they will give you some of the token. And I did that with the intention of converting it to XRP. But then I said, you know what? Let's not be completely all in on XRP. Let's take this little bit of Chainlink. I'll add another little bit of my own money to it, a very tiny amount. And we'll have that. So Chainlink's one to look out for if you're looking to diversify. It's definitely outperformed XRP over the month. Most coins have. Maybe Tesos hasn't, but Tesos is probably my second largest altcoin bag, and it's because. And this is going to sound real bad, but it's because Coinbase added those staking rewards, and I like to watch the counter go. There's just something about it, and I think that is going to translate to a lot of investors that they watch their traditional accounts and they see interest being granted, and they're used to that. They understand it, and when I was talking before about that guy locking up $5 million worth of Bitcoin, if he had locked up $5 million worth of Tesos at that time and done the baking rewards, oh my God, he'd have. I don't even want to calculate it, but a lot more than the $20 a month he was getting in fees from being a Lightning validator. Certainly, I think the staking rewards are returning about 5.5% of the token. And what it doesn't correlate. It's not a one-to-one with Bitcoin and XRP. So a lot of times when we were in that descending resistance with XRP and watching the price go down, Tesos would perform well. So I was able to get in at about 70 cents, and let's see what is the price now? I'm $1.30. So a good return there, and there's also some staking rewards that helped hedge against some of that descending resistance we had in XRP, which is our first love at the Crypto Insider Compound. But even with it being our love, we're still in the business to make money. So while we wait for the moon, we're going to try to hedge against any volatility or descending resistance. Now's the point where if you've learned about the alts and the XRP price and you want to tune out for something else, I completely understand it. We're going to get into the weeds like we do on the weekend with something called Gresham's Law and how I think it can impact cryptocurrency. If you are a coin collector, you intrinsically understand Gresham's Law, especially in the U.S. Gresham's Law is a monetary principle stating that bad money drives out good, and it's primarily used for consideration and application in currency markets. Gresham's Law was originally based on the composition of minted coins and the value of the precious metals used in them, and we've gotten away from those standards. So what happened is our coins here in the U.S. used to actually have silver in them, and the pennies actually used to have a good copper content, and that was the value of the coin. And it's something like 90% silver, 90% copper on the old pennies. And so I don't know if I have the years right. Some of you coin collectors could help me. I'm not even trying to get it right, actually, but let's say every quarter before 1972 or 1974 has 90% silver in it. And then the government comes along and says, you've got to accept this new nickel alloy quarter for the same amount, same price. What happens is people understand that the silver coin is worth more intrinsically, so they start cherry picking them out of the circulating supply. And so the bad money becomes the money that everyone uses. You'll go to a merchant, and instead of spending your 1971 quarter with a 90%, you will give me a 1973 quarter. It's not worth as much. I will take that and say, oh, well, here's your change. And rather than give you the fully copper penny, I will give you the new one, which has a lot less copper content. And so the bad money that we're being forced to use drives out the good money, or what's considered the good money because of its intrinsic value. Now, I think this is going to even apply a little bit or in some fashion to cryptocurrency, especially with these oppressive regimes like China. China's central bank completes top later design and joint test of planned centralized bank digital currency. So I'm not sure what China's actual unit of currency is. I'm not a Forex trader. But so they do. It seems like they want their banks to become the wallet holders and the administrators of their new cryptocurrency, and that it will be rolled out to end users at some point. Well, if and it's digital now, so it's much the same way now. If the regime is oppressive, and we know China is, there's just no two ways about it. They're very into controlling the media. They're very into cracking down on anything that could be seen as a threat to the government there, whether it's religious or anything. They just will not tolerate it. So, if you're a Hong Kong protester and you're forced to use this new digital currency, are you going to organize and pay for a protest with this new digital currency? The answer, if you're smart and don't want to end up in a Chinese prison, is no. So what are you going to use? You may use this digital currency to do all the things that the government thinks you're supposed to do, whether it's paying rent or buying food or the necessities of everyday life. But something is going to, whether it's bartering or the old paper money, something is going to then become the good money, according to Gresham's law. And people are going to start hoarding that and using it so that their activities cannot be tracked as easily. So I don't know what we're going to call it or how we're going to formulate. Maybe they'll call it the crypto insider law. I don't know. But I think it's going to end up applying in some fashion to these currencies issued by various central banks, especially the ones in the more oppressive regimes or in a country where there's a lot of illegal activity taking place that they don't want tracked easily. But it's something to look for and to think about, sort of in this in the weeds sort of way. I plan on looking at it more. I don't see these central banks currencies as a threat. China is a known currency manipulator. The U.S. has problems. I mean, even though the dollar is strong and well regarded, still, you can only quantitatively ease your way to the way to the top for so long, I think, before you become too debt heavy, which a lot of people would argue we already are. There are some economists that say debt doesn't matter at all, and I don't understand how they get to that conclusion, but whatever. Everybody has their own opinions. I'm going to pop up some other videos for you to watch here on your screen, and hope that you click that subscribe button. We're doing well. You can donate to charity just by hitting subscribe. You may hate the sound of my voice. You may plan to never watch another video in your life, but still, if you click that subscribe button, we will send money to charity on your behalf. I thank you for listening to me bloviate on and on about cryptocurrencies. It's a hobby of mine, and I like to sort of examine it from my FinTech crypto insider perspective. We're happy to have you, and hope you're back for some more videos. Have a nice weekend, folks.